Late last year, a cargo ship carrying 33 men and women left Florida, the port of Jacksonville, en route to Puerto Rico. It was a cargo container ship. It typically sailed back and forth, carrying cargo to and from San Juan, Puerto Rico. But this time, it sailed directly into the path of a hurricane. 2 days later, the crew sent what would be its final communication, reporting that the ship's engines were disabled and the vessel was left drifting and tilting with no power, and it was straight in the path of the storm. Subsequent to that, despite an exhaustive search and rescue attempt by the Coast Guard in the days that followed, the Faro and her crew were never heard from again. Only in one case, in desperately trying to do a search and rescue mission, did they find one decomposed body in a bodysuit, but could not find anybody else. Since then, the National Transportation Safety Board, the agency charged with investigating the incident, has been working tirelessly to understand what happened. Why would the ship leave port when they knew that there was a storm brewing and it was going to cross the path of where the ship was supposed to go? So, working with U.S. Navy and the Coast Guard, the investigators eventually found the ship's wreckage scattered at the bottom of the ocean east of the Bahama Islands in waters 15,000 feet deep. But what they didn't find that day was the ship's voyage data recorder, or what we typically refer to as the ship's black box, not unlike the black box that we look for in the case of an aircraft incident that records all of the data. This voyage data recorder, it's a key piece to understanding, since we have no survivors. It's a key piece to getting the information to understand this puzzle of why that ship would sail right into the hurricane. It records and it stores all of the ship's communications. And so finding it would shed light on what really happened on board in those final hours. Despite the search team's exhaustive efforts to locate the data recorder amongst the scattered wreckage, they couldn't find it. And eventually, they had to call the search off. Well, earlier this year, this senator wrote to the chairman of the NTSB and urged him to go back again, search again, because finding the ship's data recorder is just too important for us to understand how these 33 human beings that have families back at home, how they were lost. Well, Mr. President, I'm here to report that at this very minute, the NTSB is announcing that they're going back to do the search again. The NTSB is saying at this moment that it will resume the ship's search for the ship's black box, this time with the help of even more sophisticated equipment to help investigators pinpoint the approximate location of the recorder, and hopefully, if it's not among the wreckage of the ship, to pinpoint its location and pick it up off the ocean floor. Mr. President, the NTSB's decision today, which I commend, and I thank the chairman for continuing to keep after this. Their decision today to search again for the data recorder, it's a critical step in our understanding of what went so tragically wrong that day. We owe it not only to the families of the lost mariners aboard the Faro, but to the future safety of all those who travel on the high seas. And Mr. President, it's up to us to not only understand what happened, but to do what we can to ensure that it doesn't happen in the future. Mr. President, I yield the floor.